So today we find ourselves at a very, very, very auspicious place. Its history actually dating back to Satya yuga. That's how old this place is. The history dates back to Satya yuga. And there's actually a deity of Nrsimhadev, self-manifested deity of Nrsimhadev, present here for all of us to have his darshan. Maybe life after life. Maybe you've been coming here in other lifetimes as well. Yes. This is called Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha means the Lord in his form as a deity. Krishna comes and Krishna goes. Ram comes and Ram goes. Nrsimhadev comes and Nrsimhadev goes. But the deity of Krishna, who's non-different than Krishna, he remains. Archa Vigraha. So Prabhupada said a definition of Archa Vigraha is the most merciful form of the Lord. Maybe we put this up, it'd be easier for people to hear. Somebody can hold it or it can put it on a chair. Yeah. Put it up high like this. Archa Vigraha. Yeah, it's already better. It means the Lord who stays. He's very kind that he stays because not many people want to come and visit him. There's 7 billion people on this planet. How many come to see the Archa Vigraha? But he's so kind. He stays. Yuga after yuga after yuga. This is good. Who can say God is not kind? So this is Nrsimha-palli. And the unique feature of this place is this is where the Lord rested on his way back to Vaikuntha after protecting his devotee Prahlada Maharaj and killing the Asura Hiranyakasipu. He had to go back to Vaikuntha. That's his home. Home is where your heart is. So Nrsimhadev has a planet in Vaikuntha, like all the Vishnu deities. They have their own planets where they reside in the spiritual world. So after his business was done, Nrsimhadev was on his way back home, back to Vaikuntha. And knowing the Lord, knowing his path, his pathway, where he was going, the demigods, they very quickly came here and they made a lake. They made a lake with the idea that, this would attract Nrsimhadev to take a break. Come down and take a bath. Like the Lord's a person. Mother Yasoda bathes him every morning. He likes his bath. Sachimata bathes little Nitai every morning. So Lord likes to take a bath. Not that he needs a bath, because he's Pavitram, he's always pure. He never comes in contact with the material energy. He doesn't need a bath. But, we like to take baths, right? Because you feel refreshed afterwards. In my new apartment, I have a big bathtub. I made it a stipulation. If I'm going to come and spend time in Mayapur, I want a bath. I can lay in the bath and relax and read some Shastra in the bath. So Lord, he has his bath. The snan, we say. We have snan yatra, where we bathe Jagannath. It's very much part of our culture to bathe the Lord. Very intimate, confidential service. We're being trained to bathe like the residents of Vaikuntha or Goloka, they bathe the Lord. We're devotional service and practice. We're doing the same thing they do in Goloka, but with a different consciousness. We are works in progress. But Practice makes perfect. So we bathe our deities. It's devotional service, bathing. And then when it's perfected, we can bathe Krishna in the spiritual world. So knowing the Lord would come this way, the demigods, they could, 33 million demigods. Wow. They all came here. How do you fit 33 million demigods in this place? We'll have to wait and see. So that they could have his association. But even that wasn't necessary. Because as Lord Nrsimha was flying over Navadvip Mayapur Dham, he realized, he understood that he would appear here in Kali Yuga, at the beginning of Kali Yuga, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with his transcendental brother, Lord Nityananda, and his associates, Gadadhar, Advaita, Shrivas, and all the assembled devotees. So as he was flying here, Nrsimha, wow, that's Navadvip. That's my most merciful incarnation. That's my most merciful incarnation. I give Braj Bhakti to the most fallen people in age of Kali. Kalo Sudra Sambhavan. Everyone's born Sudra, or worse, Malecha, Yavana. Sometimes people in India, they ask me where I'm from. I say, I'm from Yavana Desh. It means fallen, sinful. Malecha Desh, that's where I'm from. Oh, really? But you're a Maharaj. Yeah, my Guru Maharaj did a miracle. He made me into a devotee. All glories to Prabhupada. So, Mahaprabhu, he saw, oh, this is Navadvip, this is my eternal abode. So he decided to come down and check it out. Lord's a person, he also gets curious. Whatever qualities we have, he has in perfection. And then, seeing the lake that the Devatas had arranged here, he came to the shore of that lake. You know what he did? He had blood on his hands. In all the criminal movies or books, he has blood on his hands. Yeah, Nrsimha, he's the original blood on the hands. But it wasn't a crime. It was justice. He ripped out the heart of Hiranyakasipu. He ripped out his heart first and he threw it to the other side of the assembly hall. I don't know who caught it. We throw things right and people want to catch him. He's going to catch his heart. And then he pulled out the intestines of Hiranyakasipu and he wore them like a garland. His hands were really bloody. Like transcendental gore. Not Goranga, but gore. And so he washed his hands here. So you may want to take a bath in this lake today. At least sprinkle some water on your head. And this is factual. This is real history. We call this Purana. In Sanskrit, Purana means very old, like Bhagavat Purana. We say Srimad Bhagavatam, but generally in India people know it as the Bhagavat Purana. Bhagavat Purana. Purana means very old, going back to the beginning of time and beyond. It's not some, blood on the hands, washing your hands in the... Wow, that's so attractive. People like movies with, humor and gore. So if you want to hear a gory thing, read Mahabharata. But it's all dharma. It's all dharma. It's upholding righteousness. Doing away with the bad guys and glorifying the good guys. So don't waste your time reading nonsense literature. People, we want to hear happy things, where adventure, Krishna says, I am adventure. We want to hear some war, but not the war of this world, but Mahabharata, where Dharma reigns supreme. Just like, bathing in blood. There's a story, and it concerns a legendary Germanic hero. His name was Siegfried. Siegfried. And Siegfried in this fiction means not real. He killed a dragon called Fafnir. Because I was a kid, I just loved these stories. You know? This Siegfried, he was a Germanic warrior, and he killed a dragon with a sword. I tell my dad, tell me the story again. Son, I've told you 1,000 times. Tell me again, Dad, I won't go to sleep. And I dream about this hero, you know, killing a dragon. Wow. Fafnir. But unfortunately, Siegfried was later murdered. And everyone like, how's that possible? Because after killing this dragon is like mystical. It's a mystical figure. But dragons exist somewhere in the creation, otherwise everything exists somewhere. So after killing the dragon, this mystic dragon, Siegfried bathed in his blood. This big pool of blood, because it was a big dragon. So he bathed in the blood of the dragon, and it made him invincible, because he was a mystic dragon. So the idea is if you bathe in the blood of a mystic dragon, this is not in Bhagavatam anyway, but anyway, then you become invincible. When you're on the battlefield, no one can kill you. The problem was that when he was bathing, there's different interpretations, but also Achilles, he's a famous hero, similar story, but this is Siegfried. As he was bathing in the blood of the dragon, a leaf fell from a tree onto his back. So when he went underneath in the blood, that patch didn't get covered because the leaf was there. And there were some spies watching. So he fought many battles and no one could kill him. The arrows just bounced off. The axe on his head just bounced away. But the spies were saying, shoot for his back, this particular part of his back. And one day one soldier was able to get an arrow in that place where no blood had gone, and Siegfried died. There's no moral to this story, there's nothing transcendental, but I'm just saying it's kind of, when I was a kid I loved these kind of stories, you know. So here we have it in Krishna consciousness. All your desires will be fulfilled. So that's all fiction. But Lord Nrsimha's pastime of washing his hands in the blood at the hands of the blood of Hiranyakasipu, it's not fiction, it's true. So why do we want to bathe in the blood of a demon? Because he became purified. Actually, where is Hiranyakasipu now? He lives on the planet of Nrsimha. He's a very humble servant of Nrsimha. He developed bhakti. By the touch of the Lord's hands, he became purified. So when Prahlada Maharaj asked, after his father had been killed, Prahlada said, my dear Lord Nrsimha, what happened to Pita? You know, there's that family. Although it's this demon, it was his father. So he said, what happened to my father? And Nrsimha said, don't worry, he's liberated. Mukti, moksha, which, you know, yogis have to aspire for millions and millions of lifetimes. They get moksha, a type of moksha. No more birth and death, or at least maybe they go. The real moksha liberation is bhakti, because that guarantees you go back home, back to Goloka. And Krishna says one who has come to Goloka, he never returns again to the material world. It's in Bhagavad Gita. So Hiranyakasipu, he got moksha, he went to Vaikuntha. And then Nrsimhadev said, just to show the power of his mercy, Nrsimhadev's mercy, he said, not only your father, but 10 generations before him, and whoever comes after him for 10 generations, because of you, Prahlad, because you were born in that family, they all go back to Godhead. Wow. I sometimes think, you know, I'm like practicing so hard for 52 years now. I still don't cry when I chant Hare Krishna. I don't fall unconscious. My body doesn't tremble. Oh my gosh. I'm trying so hard. But Hiranyakasipu, he went back to Godhead. And if you're just part of the dynasty, You just get born, you die, you go back to God. Oh my God. So I thought, maybe I should worship Nrsimhadev too. There's probably some benefits in that. So his body became purified. You take something material, like an iron, and you put it in a hot fire, you take it out, it's no longer hot metal, it's also fire. So that which is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness becomes transcendental. That's the whole idea. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Shmaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Bandham, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Pick any of the 9 processes, or a few of them, or all of them, and your body becomes purified. That's why we say that when the Acharya passes away, or when the spiritual master passes away, whom the disciple sees as a representative of Krishna, that body is not burned. That body is considered spiritual, and that body is placed in samadhi. That's why we don't burn the body of the spiritual master. When Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it's not a wonderful pastime, but when he departed this world, he was in Calcutta, in his family home there. He was a perfect grihastha, Paramahamsa, Mahabhagavata. But when he passed away, the family members didn't really understand his position so much. So when he passed away, they burned his body. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his glorious son, he was here in Mayapur. And when he heard that his father had passed away, he rushed to Calcutta to make sure to get the body, the divine form of his father, and bring it to Mayapur and place him in samadhi. And when he got there, he saw the body had been burned. He was furious. He chastised the whole family. He was like so angry. But of course, the remains are transcendental. So he brought the ashes, and that's what we have in Godhran, in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Samadhi Mandir. It doesn't make any difference, but it's just the etiquette is, because the body is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness. The spiritual master, for the disciple, he's the best devotee. Why do you choose a spiritual master? So many choices, but you think, oh, this one is the best example for me, and I like the way he teaches, so I'll accept him as my guru. So then you consider, oh, this is Krishna's representative. So then you place the body in samadhi. My point is that by contact with the Lord, personal contact with the Lord, Nrsimhadev's an expansion of Krishna. His hands ripped out not only the intestines but the heart of Hiranyakasipu. Along with that, he ripped out all his material desires. He didn't just take his heart and his guts out. By touch of his transcendental hands, he removed all the material desires of Hiranyakasipu and blessed him with bhakti for himself, for Nrsimha. We get bhakti from the devotees, we get bhakti from the guru. Sometimes Krishna can also personally give bhakti. It's called Krishna Kripa. There's Vaishnav Kripa, there's Guru Kripa, and there's Bhagavan, Krishna Kripa. Like there's a deity in Puri. What's his name? Toda Gopinath. You're studying 5 hours a day, come on. Toda Gopinath. That deity was discovered by Mahaprabhu in the sands of Jagannath Puri. It said if that deity of Toda Gopinath can give Braj Bhakti, Prem Bhakti, to a neophyte devotee in one moment if he so desires. And historically that happens. You know, a new bhakta comes in, you know, he's from, I don't know, somewhere in India, and he walks in and picks up his beads, you know, like, let's see, how is it now? 108, so, Hare Krishna. If the deity wants, he can give prema to that devotee instantaneously. And it's been recorded, he's done that. So in the old days, I mean, old days means the 1970s, when I would come with my Sankirtan party, we were all young men, 21, 22, 23 years old. we would come to India, we'd do Vrindavan, we'd do the Mayapur festival with Prabhupada, then we'd go to Jagannath Puri. We loved to bathe in the ocean. We were frolicking, fooling around. But one thing we knew, if we went to Toda Gopinath temple, if we danced and had kirtan in front of him, and kirtan, maybe, just maybe, one of us would get prema. Didn't work. Because I asked one sadhu, I said, Baba, when am I going to get prema? I'm trying hard. I chant my rounds, I chant my Gayatris. I serve the Sankirtan mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I love my deities, but I don't have prema. He said, good. Baba, why good? He said, because when you get prema, you'd just be overwhelmed with ecstatic symptoms and you wouldn't preach. And your Guru Maharaj, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, he wants his disciples to preach. So don't think about prema. Just preach for your Guru Maharaj. That's the perfection of your life. Haribol! So, although we had kirtan 10 hours, we were young men, we could fly and dance and in front of Topi Gopinath. At the end of the kirtan, 9-10-hour kirtan, I'm not kidding. And whompers, stompers, in those days, you're dancing like kindergarten. We young men, we would dance. Hours and hours and hours and hours. After the kirtan, we said, we look around, who got prema? Nobody had. And now I know why. Anyway, prema is up to Krishna when he wants to take us. We're happy. Mama janmani janmaneshwari bhavata bhakti ahaitaki. We just serve to please the Lord. And it's up to him and our spiritual master to decide if they want us to come back to Godhead or remain in this material world in the bliss of spreading Sankirtan. It's up to them. We're just their servants, whatever they want. Like we sometimes say about the spiritual master, he's my Lord and master, birth after birth. I heard Prabhupada say one time that the spiritual master always travels with a certain contingent of disciples. Certain boys or girls and men and women. It's a small contingent because they know what the spiritual master wants. They know his mood. They know his methodology of preaching, like that. So the spiritual master takes them birth after birth after birth. So who knows where you may go? One time one of my godbrothers asked Prabhupada, it wasn't really an appropriate question, but he asked anyway. He said, Prabhupada, where are you going to go when you die? Like, we were all like, what? You can't ask a question like that. So Prabhupada said, yes. I plan to go to Patala Loka and continue spreading the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Prabhupada ki. So I thought, yeah, take me with you, Prabhupada, Because for me, that's the spiritual world. I can't imagine the spiritual world without my spiritual master. When I get home, he's going to teach me how to make the garland for Radharani's pleasure, how to make the sandalwood pope for her pleasure, for Krishna's pleasure. Or maybe it's Krishna Balaram, who knows? But as long as I'm here serving Prabhupada in the material world, I'm as snug as a bug in a rug. My mom used to say that. She's tucking me into bed at night. Honey, how you doing? You snug as a bug in a rug? Yeah, Mom. It means that you're perfectly content and happy. So for me, that's the spiritual. Wherever Prabhupada is, that's where I want to go. Like that. So Hiranyakasipu was delivered by the touch of the Lord's hands. So everything about him became purified. So you can go and you can bathe here in the lake, in the blood of that liberated Asura, now Vaikuntha Vasi. When I went to Ahovalam in 1979, just after I took sannyas, I told you the other day I walked out of the ceremony, 29 years old, and I had my uttari, this is the top piece, and the sannyasi, and I had to beg dakshin from my sannyas guru. So I had nothing. I walked out and my godbrother, Mahabhuti Prabhu, he dropped a deity of Lakshmana Shringa in my top piece. when I went, I'm just young devotee, I still am, but I thought maybe that's an indication I should worship Nrsimhadev, because sannyas can be difficult in the age of Kali. So then I came up with this plan. I'm going to go to all the temples in South India. I'm going to travel. I got the permission from my GBC, 3 months off, and someone stole my shoes before I left. I went bare feet, alone, with a little bag and my danda. For 4 months, almost 5 months, I traveled around South India. You can't hitchhike in this country, but if you stop a place where the lorries come, the drivers will take you in. Especially if you're a white person, it's like a curiosity. So I rode in the trucks, sometimes in the trains, and in the buses, and walked a lot, so forth and so on. One of the places I went was Ahovalam. And in those days it was really a jungle. Now it's not so much a jungle, but Ahovalam was like, there's 9 temples of Nrsimhadev, and that's where Nrsimhadev appeared on the earth in one of his incarnations. Because if you read the 7th canto of Bhagavatam, that pastime is taking place in Vaikuntha, in the heavenly planets. The heavenly planets. Hiranyakasipu took the throne of Indra, was sitting on the throne of Indradev. So when Nrsimhadev appeared, he appeared from a pillar in that palace. And then he sat on the throne of Indra, Nrsimhadev, and killed Hiranyakasipu. So that pastime happened, whatever yuga, and Nrsimhadev's pastimes happen again and again. But one time it happened on this planet. That's the Ahovalam. And there's 9 temples there. And as you walk up, in those days there were snakes and tigers and all kinds of things. It's not like now you drive in a car to Ahovalam. We had to walk through the jungle to get there, me and my guide. We slept out in the open. He kept saying, "Stay near the fire, Maharaj. There's lots of cobras here." I'm like, yeah, okay. Big ants would bite us. One time a crow came down and pecked me on the head. I don't know what it was saying. Anyway, 9 temples. And on the way there's Raktakund. This is where Nrsimhadev originally washed his hands of the blood. And the water's blood red. So my guide was taking me to Raktakund. I think when he came here, he still had some blood. So what I did is I stripped down to my kopans and I went in the pond. It wasn't very big. It was only an area like this. And, when I was young, I was a swimmer. Like to swim, and your lungs get very strong like that. So, the 29 is still quite healthy. So I went into the water I remembered the story of Siegfried and the dragon he killed. It came to my mind. I hope these things don't come to my mind at the moment of death. But it came to my mind, and I wanted to get totally covered in the blood of Hiranyakasipu. So I went under, and I held my nose like that for like 5 minutes. Right? Usually you can't hold your breath more than 4:45, but I had my watch looking 5 minutes. And my guide thought I disappeared. He actually was, when I came out, he was walking away. He said, Mars gone back to Godhead. He went like this. The sadhus, they go like this. He's gone. He went, you're back. I stayed under a long time. And I made sure that before I came up, I went like that, and my nose also got Maya. Maya also comes in a subtle form in your mind, so, that's not being invincible. No one's invincible in this world. So before the final moment, we have to become Krishna conscious by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So at least put some water on your head. It may not be red like the Raktakund. When I came out, I was red. I was like, wow, cool. I hope it stays. I'll be honest with you, I didn't bathe for 3 days. And I became pink. I like that. So this is not fantasy. These type of things we have to believe. Krishna consciousness is something above the 3 modes of material nature, above routine life, above the logic and reasoning of non-devotee people. Just like it said, it's an offense to think the glories of chanting Hare Krishna are imagination. That's the same with anything in Krishna consciousness. We live in a different world, and we have to fully absorb ourselves in that world and believe in all these fantastic things which are quite normal in the spiritual world. That's what's so exciting about Krishna consciousness. We're leaving this mundane, dry world where nothing really interesting happens, and we're going to come out into a wonderful world of Krishna consciousness. It said that a Sankirtan devotee, he dives into the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just like you dive into the ocean. And when you surface in the ocean, you come out with the air. But if you dive into the ocean of Sri Krishna Sankirtan, when you come out, you're in Goloka. So Sankirtan means what? To be good devotee, but take time to tell others about Krishna. So this pastime happened here. He came and he washed his hands, and Nrsimhadev didn't stay on the earth very long. Krishna stayed, I think it was 130, 40 years. Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he only stayed 48 years on this planet. That's a short time. He came, he did his business, and he left. Like Prabhupada said of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He came to this world, he did his mission, and then he went somewhere else to preach. Prabhupada said that. He came here, he did his work, and he left, and he went somewhere else to do the same. So let us follow in their footsteps, life after life after life. So Nrsimhadev, you could say, just, I don't know how long the fight was, but maybe a few hours he stayed here. He appeared primarily to protect Prahlada Maharaj. Think about it. One incarnation, a whole pastime, a whole Nrsimha Purana. Like there's the Bhagavat Purana, the Shiva Purana, there's a Nrsimha Purana. A whole Purana. What is it? It's a whole Purana, but it's just, his pastime was just to save one devotee. How much the Lord loves his devotee that he'll come in one incarnation and make a whole Purana just for one devotee. Who can say God is not kind? Just like in the Christian faith, they also have that mood that the Lord gave his only beloved Son. He sacrificed his only beloved Son, Lord Jesus Christ, who the Christians say that when you surrender to Christ, he takes your sins. He suffers your sins. And that's shown by he's on the cross suffering. He gave his only Son for the world. So we have in a greater concept, with no disrespect to Lord Jesus Christ. I have a Bible, so we have respect for Jesus Christ. Prabhupada one time said he's our spiritual master. But here's Nrsimhadev coming from Vaikuntha for one devotee. Not just any devotee, of course. Prahlada Maharaj is one of the 12 Mahajans. So how is that? Because Krishna is controlled by the love of his devotees. That's the power of bhakti. It's not mundane love. It's bhakti. It's a special love, a pure, selfless love. And when you develop that love, you capture Krishna. Therefore, prem bhakti is not given. Krishna doesn't give prem bhakti very often. He doesn't bestow prem bhakti very often. Because when he does, he's captured by that devotee. He doesn't do what you don't do what he says. He does what you say. That's Radharani, the perfect devotee. Radharani doesn't do what Krishna says. Krishna does what Radharani says. And it's very sweet. That's love. So that love is rare. And Prahlada had that love. So he's all the way down in the earth planet. He's not even asking for protection. He's just, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Oh Lord, you're so wonderful, you're so wonderful. They're trying to kill him. Oh Krishna, Krishna. This is a devotee. So that love brought Narasimha Bhagavan here to this planet. And what's the proof? There's a beautiful verse in Hari Bhakti Surodhaya. Hari Bhakti Surodhaya. 1429, where Lord Nrsimhadev is speaking to Prahlad Maharaj. Shada muktopi bharoshmi. Bhaktena sneha rajubi. Ajitopi jito ham tire. Avashopi vasikrita. We were hearing the very words of Nrsimhadev. He says, although I am eternally liberated, I am bound by my devotees' ropes of love. In this way, although I am a jita, unconquerable, I become jita, conquered by them, my devotees, and although I cannot be controlled by anyone, I become fully controlled by them. Although I am eternally liberated, I am bound by my devotees' ropes of love. In this way, although I am a jita, means unconquerable, I become jita, conquered by them. And although I cannot be controlled by anyone, I become controlled by them, very happily controlled by them. So actually, this pastime takes place over and over again to give us faith. Both Prahlad and Nrsimhadev, they're not of this world. So why are they in this world? To show us who is our ultimate goal. Who's our Ishtadev? Who's our worship of the Lord? And by following Prahlad Maharaj, we can see how to live a life like Prahlad and become the Lord's humble servant. One time I was chanting Hare Krishna with one of my I don't know if I can call him a friend because he was so superior, Fakir Mohan. He was a beautiful, wonderful Gaudiya Vaishnava saint. He just loved Prabhupada, he loved ISKCON. In his elder years he lived in ISKCON temples and just associated with ISKCON devotees. He actually had the original deities of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He traveled with the original deities of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I heard him lecture, he just, for 2 years, he lectured on one verse about the holy name, and he never repeated himself once. The glories of the holy name are infinite. And this devotee, he would cry when he chanted. He tried to hide himself, but I saw. So one time we're chanting together, and in the middle of japa, he just turns to me and he's kind of looking out in the distance. He said, Maharaj, I'm not of this world. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I got shivers, my hair stood on end. Not because of ecstatic symptoms, I was just stunned. The way he said it. He said, Maharaj, I'm not of this world. And I looked at him, I said, Baba, please, you bless me. I want to be like you. But he was just back there. He didn't hear me. He was just chanting. I so much wanted to have that, what he had. And therefore, sadhu sangha, sarva shastakoi, lava matta sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. Even a moment's association with a pure Vaishnava, that can begin you on the path of devotional service. What if you associate with that person? Which means to hear, because the real relationship with the spiritual master is not vapu. Vapu's sometimes there, but it's not always there. But Vani is always there. Even after the departure of the spiritual master, you can have very intimate connection with him through his recorded lectures, like Prabhupada's lectures. That's how I remain in contact with my spiritual master. I feel that I'm there with him, and that I'm in his presence, like that. So, Nrsimhadev appeared on a number of occasions to protect Prahlad Maharaj, because in 7th canto it's described. As I mentioned, we have our Hovalam, but the pastime we read in the Bhagavatam, it took place on Svargaloka. And we know that the place on earth is a bona fide place where Lord Nrsimha appeared, a Hovelam. It's not what we read about in the Bhagavatam, but it is bona fide. How do we know it's bona fide? Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. You read his trip in South India, he went to Hovelam. And so did Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. They all went there. So each time the pastime happens, it's a little bit different. Like I was mentioning in one of my lectures the other day, that in the Nrsimha Purana it describes that when Nrsimha appears, boom, he appears from the pillar. Jwala Nrsimha, he's on fire. He's so angry, he's on fire. Jwala! That's the most ferocious form. Where is he? Where's that demon? Ah! That's why in our Mayapur temple here, that's the form that the devotees decided to have. That form generally is only worshipped by sannyasis because that form takes everything away from you, like it did Hiranyakasipu. Not too easy to have those things torn from your heart. No, not that. Lakshmi Nrsimha, the Lord is half pacified, half angry but half pacified. With Lakshmi, he's almost all pacified. And when he's Yoga Nrsimha, Shanti Nrsimha. You know, like a kitty cat. But when the kitty cats, I had a cat, a Siamese cat when I was a boy. He'd sleep with me. And, you know, the cat would come in. What would put me to sleep was the purr of the kitty cat. If the cat wasn't there, I wouldn't sleep. My dad had to tell me stories, and my mom had to bring the kitty cat and put it here, and then it went. So that's Shanta Nrsimha. He's peaceful. But we have in our temple here because to protect our temple, and this is the headquarters of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is the headquarters of the big TOVP. This is the way we want everyone to come and learn about Krishna consciousness. So, you know, when you start preaching, the demons come. Before Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, there were no demons. They came when Krishna appeared in Vrindavan. Kamsa sent the demons every day, like Prabhupada told us one time in Paris. We were complaining there's so much opposition. Prabhupada said, good. If there's no preaching, there is no opposition. So it shows you boys and girls are preaching. Thank you very much. Like, whoa, what? Just tolerate, he said. Just tolerate. So therefore, whenever there's a threat, or whenever we're on the verge of death, and who knows, you know, it's not that everyone reaches 80 or 90 years of age. Many people die in the womb. Many babies are stillborn. When I was 5, I had spinal meningitis. The doctor said to my mother, I'm sorry, there's no cure. But they were doing experimental with medicine. They came with 5 different types, I think, antibiotics. So my mom placed me in this trial program. There were 5 or 7 of us boys. 5 different antibiotics over a period of months, actually. And, I mean, I'm the only one that lived. And that antibiotic, or that combination, whatever it was what they use now, or at least then, for spinal meningitis. So we can die at any time. We don't know when we're going to die. We can ask for protection, especially devotees, but really what we're asking for when we ask for protection is, because we all have to die, is protection from illusions. That's the greatest fear in this world. We shouldn't fear death. Death just means that we go from New York to London to preach, or we go from London to some other planet to preach. We're just preachers. That's what we are. So what we fear is forgetting Krishna. So that's the protection. Please help me always remember you, Lord, because your material energy is so powerful. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya durataya. You said it in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is very difficult to help. Give me shelter. How many times have I quoted that verse? Oh my Lord, I'm drowning in this fathomless whirlpool of material existence. O you who give shelter to the shelterless. Ananta. Ananta? Soft key name. Maybe you could fix the camera. O you who give shelter to the shelterless, please just this one time extend your hand to save me. So we're in a very dangerous situation. Preachers, how many have been on preach? Someone yells at you. When we were preaching in France in the beginning, we go through this famous market, Marseille Pousse, the flea market, selling so many things. There was a big fruit market there, a big meat market. I remember one time we were having kirtan with one of my old friends, Lochanananda, Bugarba. We were going through the where they sell the meat. And someone threw a big slab of meat on my face, and it went in my mouth. That's horrible. It was horrible. So sometimes devotees are attacked, etc., etc. So we do our best to protect ourselves in those ways. But we have to be protected inside as well. From what? I'm vegetarian. My body's clean. Baba. There's 3 gates leading to hell. Lust, anger, and greed. And they're deep within the heart. They're very deep. You can't swallow a bar of soap to get them out. They have to be removed. It's those material desires that are covering our pure Krishna consciousness. Like George Harrison said, everyone's a devotee of Krishna. Some know it and some don't. We're all devotees, even the bug, even the cockroach, even this mosquito here. They're all devotees of Krishna. But we're covered. That pure consciousness is covered. Like dust covers a mirror, or the womb covers the child. What's the third thing? Smoke covers fire. Dust covers the mirror. The womb covers us. So we're all covered. When you look in the mirror, that's not who you really are. You're the soul. Prabhupada said one time, the soul is more brilliant than 10,000 suns rising simultaneously. Well, I want to see my soul. I want to be me. I want to act naturally. Okay, start chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. And the more you chant, the more you'll become purified. If you procrastinate, you don't chant your rounds, with focus, with feeling, then, it's going to take some time. We got to get out of this place. There was a popular song when I was a teenager. We got to get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we got to get out of this place. Maybe there's a better place for me and you. It's a mundane song, but devotee thinks like this. I got to get out of this place. So what does it mean? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Tasmat tvam indrayan yado niyamya bharatarshava pap manam prajayanam jnana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, Arjuna, O best of the Bharats, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Like Siegfried, he slayed the dragon. So what's the dragon? There's a saying, I'm my own worst enemy. I'm my own worst enemy. I have my enemies. I'm my worst enemy. Because I hold on to lust. I hold on to greed. I hold on to anger, avarice, jealousy, envy. I'm my own worst enemy. When you point your finger at somebody, you're this, you're pointing 3 fingers at yourself. Be careful. That's why we don't want to hear devotees being criticized. We have enough work to do on ourselves. We don't want to read on the internet, this devotee, that devotee. Let our authorities take care of that. Authorities are in the position to take care of these problems, and they should take care of these problems. We don't want to criticize, don't want to hear criticism. It's like this. Well, what about me? Physician, heal thyself. We need to be corrected, but in the proper order. If you're an authority, then you have to chastise your dependents. Spare the rod, spoil the child. But as far as us laymen are, as aspiring devotees, we shouldn't criticize. We shouldn't find fault. If there's fault, let it be dealt with by the strong authority upon whom we serve. But what about that lust? What about that anger? What about that greed? Can we do it alone? I don't know. I don't think it's hard alone to free ourselves of those things which have been dragging us across the coals of material existence for millions of lifetimes. Dragging us across the hot coals of material life. The lust, anger, greed, those are the things, the ropes that are tying us to this. How much have you overcome lust? How much have you overcome greed? How much have you overcome anger? And everything else. It's a mixed bag. Oh, the bumblebee's coming. Hello. That's auspicious, actually. We need the help of the Lord. Ito Nrsimha, padato Nrsimha, yato yabitato Nrsimha. You're inside, you're outside, you're everywhere. You're in my heart. You're in my heart. Help me, Nrsimhadev, become free from illusion. Help me. We need help because we're weak. Once you start thinking, I am a big devotee, so many people bow down, they're cooking for me, they like my lectures. Pride cometh before a fall. We have to remain very humble. You remain humble by always associating with devotees who are more advanced than you. That's one way to remain humble. Associate with devotees who are more advanced than you. Like I associate with Lord Swami, Nrsimha Swami, Bhakti Vringa Govinda Maharaj, Vaisheshika Prabhu, he's my Sankirtan hero. These are devotees who are more advanced than me, so I remain humble by associating with them, seeing their advanced qualities. And of course I have my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, so. So we're weak. And how do we know we're weak? Well, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his writings, he describes six different types six symptoms of weakness in the beginning stages of devotional service. I'll explain these six symptoms of weakness, and you can relate to them. So next time you call out, Bhagavan Nrsimhadev Ki! You'll call out for shelter. Not like a baby. Mommy doesn't come. But when the baby's in danger, Mommy comes running. So you have to chant like that, not Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Guru Maharaj, I'm chanting my rounds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram. Then you cry, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. One time a devotee asked Madhava, what are you thinking about when you chant? Because I'm very attracted to your chanting. He said, I'm chanting thinking this is the last time I'm going to get to chant Hare Krishna. And it might be. So he's chanting, he's saying, this is my last opportunity to chant Hare Krishna. So he's thinking like that. You see how fixed he is? Madhava Prabhu, you've been to his kirtans. How deep they are? Simple melodies, but it's the bhav, it's the mood. My last chance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare One time Prabhupada said we should chant Hare Krishna just like a person who's dying is looking at a picture, a painting of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're dying, and the devotees put a picture of Krishna in front of you. How are you going to look? Like, no, you're going to be absorbed. Krishna! Pomagi! It means help in Russian. So when we chant, we should chant like that. It doesn't mean you have to chant loud, but that's chanting. That's purifying. That brings bhakti. That attracts Krishna in Goloka. So what is our weakness now? It's good to analyze ourselves. What weaknesses do we have that are that mean that we need the help of the Lord? He said the first one is utsaha mayi. It means pride. Vishnu gives the example of a young Brahmin boy who's having just begun his study of the scriptures, thinks immediately he's a learned scholar and worthy of everyone's pride. I have learned so many shlokas, and I have, quoting my Guru Maharaj, uwaga, we say in Polish, be careful. The second weakness is called gana tarala. It means a lack of taste. Our weakness is because we have a lack of taste. We don't finish the rounds, we don't focus on the rounds, we just... Gana tarala, he says, that same young boy may sometimes study, but at other times, due to lack of taste, he doesn't study at all. Like I told Kartamash, he has to study from 9 in the morning till 12. He gets a break of 2 hours. Then from 2 to 5, he has to study. So if someday he thinks, I studied in the morning, I don't have to study the afternoon. Not that he won't, but I'm just using him as an example. This is Gana Tarala. Sometimes we're fired up. Sometimes we can't get out of bed. We have to try harder. It says in the same way, a young devotee has a taste for Krishna consciousness one morning, and next morning he doesn't. Then there's yudha vikalpa, indecisiveness. New devotees are indecisive. And Vishwanath gives the example. He says, a young devotee, an aspiring devotee may think, yes, now I shall spend my life happily with my family, with my wife, and with my children. Or is it better to give them up and run to Vrindavan and chant without any distractions? Should I go to Vrindavan? Should I stay in the family? No. You have your dharma. Do your dharma. And in your dharma, as a brahmachari, a grihastha, vanapasta, sannyasi, you do your dharma, but chant Hare Krishna. Grihe tako, bhane tako. Narottam says, whether you're a grihastha or you're a sannyasi, if within your heart you have Mahaprabhu, I take the dust of your feet on my head. I would immediately take the dust of Vaisheshika Prabhu on my head, without even thinking twice. And all the Sankirtan devotees in the world. The fourth is Vishaya Shringara, the struggle with sense pleasure. Vishwanath says, seeing that the desire for material enjoyment is making one unsteady in devotional service, the devotee renounces his attachments once and for all and takes shelter of the holy names. Now I'm going to be a devotee. I'm going to renounce it all. Hare Krishna, Hare. But while he's chanting Hare Krishna, he's thinking of his girlfriend. He's not married yet. He's thinking about the Mahaplay, thinking about the sweets downstairs. He's thinking, no, I'll renounce. But then the mind is flickering. So the mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy. Number 5 is niyamakshama. It means inability to improve. He says the devotee resolves, from this day forth I will chant my rounds and pay so many obeisances. I'll serve the devotees and not talk any more nonsense. But he only keeps that resolution for 1 or 2 days. Like we had our New Year's resolutions recently, right? January 1st. How many of you are still keeping? Then finally, Taranga Rangini, delighting in material facilities, meaning the devotee gets facilities as time goes on, but he becomes attached to those facilities more than his service. So these are weaknesses that we have which keep us from making progress. So what do? We call out for help. The baby calls for help. Does the mother come? Yes. So if you ask Krishna to help you, do you think Krishna is going to ignore you? Krishna brought you to this movement. You didn't think you were ever going to come to this movement. Brahmanda Brahmati Konya Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasad Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. We fell from grace, and who intervened? By intervention, without being asked. Prabhupada, your guru, the devotees, they met you on the street. They met you in a cafe. They knocked on your door. They stopped you in the street. They intervened. It wasn't you. Krishna knows your heart. He knows you're ready to become a devotee. So you meet the devotees. That's the first drop of Krishna's mercy on you. So pray to Nrsimhadev today, especially here. This is a powerful place. Every holy place has a certain potency to it. This place is a place of getting the strength to be able to overcome my weaknesses and become Krishna conscious. Prahlada hridayanam labdam bhakti vidya vidaranam saradindu richim bande parindam bandanam harim. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Nrsimhadev, who is always enlightening Prahlad Maharaj within his heart, and who always kills the nescience that attacks his devotees. His mercy is distributed like moonshine, and his face is like that of a lion. Let me offer my obeisances to him, it says, again and again and again. Don't stop. Don't stop. The rabbit and the turtle, they decided to have a race. So the race started, and the rabbit, whoo, and the turtle. He was way behind the rabbit. And the rabbit got a little distracted, I'm going to stop and eat some carrots. I'm way ahead. And by getting a full tummy, he fell asleep. With the turtle, he was determined. And finally the rabbit woke up. Oh my God, the turtle's almost at the finish line. And he starts running. And the turtle, I won. So the race isn't over till it's over. Even if you're a slow mover, it's okay. Slow but steady wins the race. Steady means I perform my sadhana, I serve the devotees, take care of my family. But we have our life. Slow but steady wins the race. Be determined. And don't be afraid. Krishna knows you're there. He'll protect you. Lord Shiva actually glorifies Krishna as Aranapada Pankajam. Be a nice name for somebody. Aranapada Pankajam. It means he whose lotus feet protect his devotees from all fearful situations. And Krishna is partial to his devotees. Because they serve him, even if they're serving him in kind of a stupid way, he's still, not stupid, but unconscious way, he still loves them. Like, it's a story people repeat, but it actually happened to me one time. It was my birthday, and it was my father's birthday, and I was just a kid. I think I was 9 or something. And of course, I didn't have any money, but I really loved my dad. He was like my dad was super cool. In every way, super cool. So I wanted to give him a present, but I didn't have any money. So I went to his wallet. He used to keep his wallet in the drawer. And I took out $100. And in those days, $100 was a lot. And I went to school, and then on the way home from school with my friends, we had someone chaperoning us to come home. I told him I wanted to get a present for my dad. I had $100. So he said, why? I said, I don't know. What did daddies want? So he said, okay, come with me. We went to the store, and we bought a fork and a spoon and a knife, really first class. So 2 days later, it was my dad's birthday. And I wrapped it up and everything, and then he was surprised, my mom made a cake, but I came out with a present. My mom didn't even get it, they've been married so many years. I bought a present. He said, son, where did you get the money to buy that? I said, from your wallet, Daddy. And he just smiled. He was so happy. Like that. So, we're children in Krishna consciousness. We don't even know what's the best way to serve Lord. But under Prabhupada's guidance, we're serving the Lord. And what he told us to do is perfect. So still Krishna loves us. He has a special preference for those who serve him. Like I know that now as a spiritual master, I have people serving me. I feel indebted to them. I keep thinking, how am I going to repay this disciple for all the wonderful service they're doing for me? So I think the best thing I can do is study and enlighten them in Krishna consciousness. Because this is the real connection to the Guru. Again, the transfer of knowledge. Because with that knowledge, you can get out of the material world and into the spiritual world. This knowledge is Raja Vidyas. Raja Vidyagam. It's so precious, this knowledge. You can get out of this samsara. And you can go back to Godhead. So what's the best thing the Guru can give? Knowledge. Therefore, I often ask the disciples, are you listening to my lectures? Oh, I'm sorry, Guru Maharaj, I don't have any time. Then how are you a disciple? No, you accepted me. No, but it's a living relationship. Even beyond death, if you die or I die, we'll still remain connected by the exchange of knowledge. So why aren't you listening? Why aren't you watching the videos, seeing me in action? That's the real connection. Knowledge. So, Krishna's, I feel indebted to my disciple. I feel I can't pay them back. They're thinking they can't pay me back, because that's the scripture, you can't pay the debt of your guru. But I feel I can't pay my disciples back for the facilities they're giving me, like Keshava Priya bought me a car in Vrindavan so I could be safe driving around. Disciples here, Mahavan, other disciples, they arranged an apartment for me. I'm embarrassed when I walk in there. It's a nice apartment, simple but nice. How do I repay? Therefore, when I give my classes, my Friday classes, those Vrindavan series, each class I study minimum 8 to 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours. I have to study to, get the knowledge to speak, but that's my gift. So that's my point. Even if we're not so expert in serving Krishna, don't think he doesn't appreciate. He does. Samoham sarvabhuteshu, name dvayashu, name devashu stinapriya. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion as a friend is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. Hey, give me some service. I'm sorry, Prabhu, all the services are taken up. Please, I'm on my knees. Give me a broom. I'll clean the floor. I'll repolish the brass. Without service, I have no life. Service is my life. I'm embarrassed when I have to sleep for 6 hours. I actually am. I keep telling my servants, this is a waste of time. I'm going to forget Krishna for so many hours. Therefore, as one gets older, you don't need so much sleep, so you cut back willingly to sleep eventually 2 hours a day. I want service. Whoever renders service unto me is in devotion. He's my friend, Krishna says. I want to be your friend, Krishna. I'm happy to be a coward boy. He's in me. I'm in you if I'm serving you. And I'm also a friend to him. You're my friend. Love is reciprocal. Who wouldn't want that, to have Krishna as your best friend? Coward boys, they're so happy. They don't even look at the girls. They're so happy in the pasturing grounds, wrestling with Krishna, the sands of Ramanreti, stealing his lunch box, taking the special lunch that Mother Yasoda prepared for him, because their mothers they're not queens, so they don't have access to all those goodies. So they steal his and they give him some of their. Krishna says, that's fine. God says, that's fine. This is the life that we're hankering for. These relationships. Not the relationships of this world, but those, that's waiting for us. Why are we procrastinating? Why do we have those? Why do we keep those 6 weaknesses? Yato Nrsimha, padato Nrsimha, yato, you meet. Call out to Nrsimha. He'll rip those things out of your heart, just like he did to Hiranyakasipu. But it will be a painless operation. and ISKCON devotees, or any Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees, they're especially dear, because they're carrying on the work of their father. Like you see sometimes in India, that sign in the stores, such and such Patel and Sons, Mishra and Sons. It's the tradition, you wouldn't go to America to live in Silicon Valley and make money. You stay with your family. Blood is thicker than water. You stay with your family, you don't have a lot of facilities. You've got the Maha Mantra, you've got Prasadam, you've got the deity, the family deity. It's passed down for many generations. Stick with the family. So, because the devotees are carrying on Mahaprabhu's mission. He was here 48 years. Some of Prabhupada's disciples, they've been serving for 50 years. You don't think Krishna notices? You don't think Prabhupada notices? Okay, we have our faults, we may have our fall downs, but what is our heart? What is our heart? It's the mission. When Kadamba Kanana Maharaj passed away recently, his Guru Maharaj, Jayadvaita Maharaj, told me his last word as he was leaving his body was, mission. I was so proud of Maharaj. That he was able to do that at the end of his life. He gave his life to the mission of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada, and therefore his dying breath, mission. Where has he gone? Either he's in Goloka or he's serving Prabhupada somewhere. Either or is desirable. This is a missionary movement. How many times have I said it's a missionary movement? And as unqualified and imperfect as we are, if we give our lives, we've given our youth, we've given our middle age, and now we're giving the final years of our life to Prabhupada. Do you think Prabhupada's going to forget us? No. So some protection is there. I went to an astrologer some years ago, and he was saying, whoa, you're still alive? Look at my chart, isn't it? He said, you're still alive? I said, yeah, let me check. He said, oh, that's because you have mantra. You're serving, and you're sharing the mantra. I mean, I'm not a good chanter, I'm not a good preacher, I'm not saying that. But like one time Prabhupada said, he said, Lord Ramachandra, he conquered Lanka with bears and monkeys. And similarly, I am conquering the world with my disciples. I was looking at myself, a monkey, I'm a bear. That service, although I gave my dad, but it was his money, but he appreciated that. So don't ever become despondent. Don't ever become depressed. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always consider what you do have. And you'll always be happy. You'll always be happy. I have one disciple, Prema Kishori, in Vrindavan. She lives alone with her mother. She's young. She's in her late 20s, I think. She's a young lady. But she lives with her mom. Her mom's not well. She takes care of her mom. And she's engaged with some of my other disciples in taking care of my deities. But that girl's always smiling. Always smiling. They have a nickname for her. They call her Sugar and Spice. She's just sweet as anything. They call her Sugar and Spice. She's always happy. And she's had a wonderful upbringing, but she's always happy. She's just happy, it's not so easy. You're taking care of your elderly mother, and You don't get to go on all the parikramas, and you can't travel the world, but she's happy. She chants Hare Krishna, the Gayatris. Every time I see her, there's a big smile on her face. And it's not fake. It's not false. So that mentality is there if we don't always think about what we don't have and think about what we do have and whatever position we're in. Krishna put us in that position for whatever reason. And I have the Maha Mantra. I have my Guru Maharaj. I have Bhagavad Gita. I have Srimad Bhagavatam. I have Prahlada. I have the Dham. There's 7 billion people on this planet. 99% don't even have one iota of those things. So we should always be blessed. We shouldn't look back. Don't look back. When Prabhupada gave Satsvarup Maharaj's danda, he said, never look back and think you've left anything behind, and never envy the position of the materialistic sense enjoyers. I take like that, because we have a tendency to look back. My sister just sent me a picture of myself when I was 17. And devotees, oh, you look so handsome. I say, that's Maya. That's not me. I'm Krishna Das. I'm Krishna's servant. I haven't yet discovered who I am. One day I hope to see that reflection in the mirror of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Krishnadas Kaviraj said, the concept of good and bad, someone's wealthy, someone's intelligent, someone's handsome, somebody else is unfortunate, they're ugly, they're poor. He said, no, the concept of good and bad in this world is wrong. It's all bad. I told you the other day when Brajalita knew she was going to leave her body, she wanted to cast aside all material identification. So she went home, she burned all the pictures of herself before she was a devotee. Gave away everything she owned before she was a devotee. Left home with her bead bag only. We should all follow her example. One time, Prabhupada, or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, during a Vyasa Puja address, he addressed his disciples. He said, you are my gurus. You're showing faith in me. I want to have that same faith for my Guru Maharaj. Of course, that's his humility, but he's teaching us. So I learned from Brajalila. She was fearless at death. She kept saying to me, I'm so eager to see what it's like on the other side. This girl has no fear. Because she came to Vrindavan and she took full shelter of Radhe Shyam. So we're all entitled protection, because maybe we need a little bit longer to live in this world and become Krishna conscious. So it will be there. And again, our protection, we are protected in various ways, but the real protection we want is to be free from illusion, to forget Krishna. There's a verse like that, I don't have it on the tip of my tongue, but the greatest calamity is to forget Vasudeva. You know that verse? It's in my little black verse book. The greatest calamity is to forget Lord Vasudeva. So let us take shelter today, here. This is the mood here, this is the bhav, taking shelter of Nrsimha. He's very important incarnation. There's 3 important incarnations that auspicious that Jiva Goswami mentions: Krishna, Ram, and Nrsimha. And here we can finish with a beautiful prayer by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that to Lord Nrsimha, ultimately worship him so that we can develop our love for Radhe Shyam. That's the real reason we worship him. He can remove the obstacles, he can open up the path of liberation so we can become Krishna conscious. So keep that in mind. This is from Navadvip Dham Mahatmya by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. To the southeast, when will I see the sweetness of Nrsimhapalli, Devapalli? To the southeast, when will I see the sweetness of this place right here, Devapalli, the sacred abode of Nrsimha, and wallowing in ecstasy, beg sincerely for what? Krishna Prem. In my wicked heart reside 6 enemies. lust, hypocrisy, deceit, and longing for position? When will I pray at the feet of Nrsimha to purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Krishna? When will I weep at the feet of Nrsimha and beg for service to Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, begging for worship free from the obstacles headed by lust? When will that fearful-looking Lord be pleased with me and give me his mercy? Though Nrsimhadev is terrifying to the sinful-minded, he is very gentle towards devotees like Prahlada Maharaj. When will he be pleased and make this worthless fool fearless and without sin by speaking merciful words, such as, "Oh dear child, live happily in the Dham of Gauranga." Are you all living happily? Live happily in the Dham of Gauranga. Perform worship of Radha and Krishna and relish, here relish the holy name. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles will be vanquished by Prabhupada's mercy. With a pure heart, worship reverentially all the sweet exchanges between Radha and Krishna, between Radha and Madhava. Oh, when will the Lord say like this and happily place his lotus foot upon my head? Immediately I will roll about on the earth, overcome with symptoms of prema, at the threshold here, Nrsimha-palli, in his palace. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nrsimha-palli ki, Bhagwan Nrsimhadev ki, Lord Nrsimhadev's appearance day in a few days ki, Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Panchatattva ki, Shri Radha Madhava and the Astasakis ki, all the Mayapur Vasis ki, Shri Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki, Krishna Balaram ki, Gaurnitai ki, Shri Radha Shama Sundar ki, Vrindavaneshwari Shrimati Radharani ki, back home, back to Godhead ki. Try to take everyone in this material creation back home with us. Ki Jai. You want to be Prabhupada's eternal servants here and in the spiritual world? Ki Jai. Back home, back to Godhead ki. Nitai Gaur Pimnandi. Bhagavan Nrsimhadev ki. Sri Prahlada Maharaj ki. Jai Jai Sri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna.